This is a street, and it has a rather unfortunate name. Welcome to TITTY, found in Raunds Northamptonshire. No, that's not a joke, but it is what I call your mum. And yes, there really is a street called TITTY, but what does that even mean? The plan was to explain how we arrived at the name TITTY for a road, but it seems no one knows for sure, so instead I've just cobbled together a few ideas. What I do know is that the road has existed for quite a long time, featuring on the oldest maps that I can find, but the name TITTY only seems to get mentioned on early 1900s maps. Today, the road is a residential street offering no clues or insights as to what a TITTY is. However, the road sits at the foot of a small hill, and in Old English, another word for hill is ho. So it's TITTY Hill then? Well, that sounds delightful. Maybe, but maybe not. I can't find any record of a TITTY Hill. Yes, there's a hill, albeit small, but that doesn't mean it had a specific name. So after some further skim reading of Wiki, I discovered that TITTY could be an alteration of the word tithe. What the hell is a tithe? A tithe is an Old English word for a tenth, meaning maybe TITTY is actually 10th hill. But a tenth of what, I hear you ask? A tenth is otherwise known as a 10 bag, but that's something different. In this case, the tenth is a tenth of your salary that you'd pay in tax. Sort of. We're going back to the days of when the churches ruled the land, and it wasn't a tax as such, more a contribution to the church who allowed you to live on their land. Which does sound an awful lot like a tax, but these payments weren't deducted automatically from your salary, and the system relied on you making a conscious effort to make the payments yourself, so therefore it's classed as a contribution, and the standard amount was 10% or a tenth of whatever you've got. It is possible that somewhere along TITTY was a building or buildings set up as some sort of contribution office or place where you could deposit your 10 bag or tithe to the church, but I do have an issue with this because I can't find any record of such a building ever existing. Maybe there was once a church located here, but again, I can't find any evidence to support that theory, and besides, back in the day, Raunds was tiny and most likely all overseen by St Peter's Church, which has stood since the 12th century. There'd be no reason to build another church here. That said, the translation of TITTY from Old English does mean Tithe Hill from what I can find, so maybe there's something to it that we just don't have the evidence for. However, I have a theory. Maybe it's called TITTY because of Titty Hose. Hear me out. TITTY connects up with the road known as Grove Street, and as we've discussed before in this video, the name Grove can sometimes be the result of a name change from Grope. In the old days, many towns and villages had a Grope Street or Grope Lane, and it was the place to go if you wanted to grope things. Let's just say these streets were often lit with red lights. In modern times, most of these streets have been renamed, and the common solution was to go from Grope Street to Grove Street. So maybe TITTY was where the TITTY lived, and they worked on Grope Street just next door. That's a handy commute. It's certainly possible, at least just as possible as that stuff about tithes. We'll never know for sure because at the moment there doesn't appear to be any real clarification as to why it's called TITTY but it is. Today, many people enjoy living on TITTY and there's the TITTY Motor Company should you want your car or vibrator serviced. But whilst that all sounds completely ordinary, there's nothing ordinary about the name TITTY which has almost turned into a tourist attraction. You can't find a list of silly place or road names without finding mention of TITTY and indeed it's visited by many childish and immature people looking for a cheap laugh. I bet they make stupid YouTube videos or something as well. Still, it could be worse. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.